What's going on, guys? It is Thursday, April 13th, and today I didn't take any trades. I had a couple of issues that I dealt with. Mostly, I had issues with some bias today, kind of going into the markets expecting one thing and then not taking any trades because of that bias. And just a couple of other like psychological issues that I want to go over today in lieu of not actually having any trades. But I wanted to get started with kind of where my mind was at for the most part. I've kind of had this long-standing 4-hour downtrend basically since like what is this, August of last year? August of last year, I've had this trend line here. I've had an upward trend line as well, kind of just trying to get an idea of how areas are reacting, and we've had some reactions down here on this lower trend line and several reactions here on these trend lines, so I was kind of keeping an eye on how reliable they would be. So we've been in an uptrend. I think on the 4-hour and the 1 hour, we've been like in an uptrend, so I kind of already had some bullish inclinations going into my days. And so that was the plan going in today. I was kind of bullish, but at the same time, there were a couple of other conflicting things happening throughout the day, and I want to kind of go over that. Let's see. So we hit the. I had this kind of trend line drawn as well. Couple of things. We had been trading inside of a range for some time. So on the hourly, what I was kind of seeing here was that this last little section of this trading range here kind of looks like a bull flag to me, and that's kind of what I've been seeing. This, however many days, 6, 7, 8 days of trading here have been in a range, and it's kind of looked bull flaggish, kind of. So what I had was I had a conflicting 4-hour down trend line, which was right here, this trend line here, and then I had on the hourly time frame, I had this trend line, and we had this this bullish like bull flag forming, and we had just started the day, the overnight low. We had hit 41.10, and that was pretty much the bottom part of this whole range, right? So this kind of flagging range here. So I'm thinking, okay, we hit the bottom of this range, and I'm at least expecting to hit this trend line. So I'm going into this day pretty bullish, but also in the back of my mind knowing that there is a 4-hour down trend line. So I guess in some part of my mind, I was putting more emphasis on the 4-hour trend line, and maybe that's because it's a higher time frame, and I just wasn't entirely sure how to balance two conflicting time frames and kind of interpretation and how to trade that. So I think that's where I kind of had some paralysis, is not really knowing exactly how to trade today. I still want to follow the trend, but I was still looking at, maybe there was going to be a reaction off of this 4-hour down trend line here where I could play short. So I almost feel like I psyched myself out of it a little bit. And, obviously not taking trades isn't a bad thing, but, I just kind of wanted to share kind of the conflicting technical analysis that I had, kind of how things played out for me mentally, and then kind of getting down into the actual trading portion. I did have this small trend line just from yesterday, where at some point this morning at around like 8:30 it had broken that trend line. So I was kind of viewing that as also bullish, and my first trade idea of the day was actually to play off of a bounce of this trend line. And I didn't trust, so, we had played through this trend line, and then we had the open, and then it tested it immediately, but for some reason I didn't trust it. And then we kind of chopped for the next like 15 or so minutes before we got to another 5-minute candle that ended up testing it again. And in hindsight, this would have been perfect. It would have met, it would have been basically the second entry, or excuse me, yeah, the second entry short that failed, and tested that trend line as well, and then took off after that. So even if I just got a small part of this trade, I would have been pretty happy. But then outside of that, I didn't see really any entries whatsoever. There's no way to predict how far the market's going to keep going. At no point today did I think we were just going to slowly grind up all day. I was pretty disappointed because we didn't get really any good entry opportunities for long. I'm happy to hop in on trending days. We're just trending all day. I'm happy to hop in, but I usually like to wait for really clear pullbacks, and I just didn't get that. We had a couple and we didn't have very clear swing lows, right? I'm looking for swing lows and swing highs, and I would say I was having issues considering this a swing low, but I guess I had to consider this a swing low. I didn't feel confident here. I was looking for a test, a break and a retest of the overnight high at 41.37. And then we didn't really do much, no continuation, and just, again, slow creeping up. And then we had this pullback, which didn't break this swing low here. In hindsight, I think this may have been really the only entry that was really clear. It didn't break this swing low. Unfortunately, it didn't test, some of my more critical levels. But yeah, getting in any point here, setting your stop loss here would have been great the rest of the day. So the entire way up, I just felt like if I had hopped in, I would be chasing. And I decided not to do that. I didn't, I need to start being a little bit more disciplined when it comes to entering trades and figuring out, actually having strict entries, strict stop losses. And today just wasn't my day. I wasn't reading things really well. The market didn't offer me any opportunity to get in with, and I definitely missed this one. That was, I think, pretty clear entry on this one. Almost a perfect, especially with that candles. It's, so yes, I guess I missed one entry and maybe a second entry, but otherwise today was just not my day. And that was it. So till tomorrow. Peace.